I'm the President and CEO of North Arrow Minerals. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this update on North Arrow and our diamond exploration projects in Canada. I will be making some forward-looking statements as I'll talk about some of the work that we've done over the last little bit and our plans going forward. So please take some time to get familiar with the contents of the cautionary slide. Just quickly starting with the corporate structure for North Arrow, we presently have about 76 million shares outstanding. We have some warrants that would put us at about 103 million shares fully diluted. And then also listed here are some of the key shareholders that the company has, including management and directors who currently have just over 15% of the company. Zebra Holdings, Electrum Strategic Opportunities Funds, and Ross BD all have just over 10% of the company. So some key sponsorship and support for the work that we've been doing. Won't spend a lot of time on the people involved with the company, but in essence, North Arrow as a management group and a director group that have a lot of experience in diamond exploration in Canada and in Africa, and successful experience in discovering diamond deposits, evaluating them, and bringing them all the way through to production. And that's a pretty key part of what North Arrow is all about. This slide of North America it's handy because it just is intended to show some of the success that North Arrow's had over the last 5 years or so. All of the brown diamonds here are of the kimberlite field localities known in North America sort of pre-1981, which would be really before any serious diamond exploration had started in North America. And then the period between 1981 and 2012, there was quite a bit of exploration activity. A lot of kimberlite fields were found, including all of the kimberlites that are currently being mined for their diamonds, as well as all of the advanced exploration projects that are being evaluated as well. But since 2012, what's really instructive is that there's been 6 kimberlite fields found through that period. 2 of those fields were found by Stornoway, one in Quebec and one in Ontario, very recently announced. Rio Tinto and De Beers have both found kimberlites in Ontario. And then North Arrow has discovered a kimberlite field in Saskatchewan, our Piku project. And then just last fall, our new MEL discovery up on the Melville Peninsula was also discovered. And so the real takeaway from that, we think, is that over the last 5 or 6 years that North Arrow has been involved in diamond exploration, there's been 6 discoveries made. We've made 2 of them, and we're the only junior company to have made any discoveries of kimberlite fields during that period, which I think highlights the success that we've had and that we're really poised to make more discoveries as well going forward. And at least I'll try and get that across in the remainder of the presentation here. This slide outlines our current projects. We do have an advanced project at Naujaat, just outside of the community of Naujaat. It's a very significant diamond inventory. We think there's some real potential value upside in the diamond content there, and I'll speak to that a little later on. We also have 5 projects at what we call the discovery stage, and sort of topping that list is our MEL project in Nunavut. We discovered a new kimberlite field there in late part of 2017, and we're just preparing to start a drilling program, the first ever drilling program on that project in the next month or so. We also have 2 projects in the Lac de Gras area, our 100% owned Loki project, where we completed a drilling program in March and discovered a new kimberlite. It's actually the first kimberlite discovered in Lac de Gras since 2012. And we also have our LDG joint venture project with Dominion Diamonds, and Dominion is currently spending about $2.8 million conducting exploration drilling that'll bridge between the spring and into the summer of 2018. I mentioned earlier Piku, our discovery in Saskatchewan, a really interesting discovery. We've found 10 kimberlites there so far. We've tested 5 of them for diamonds. All of them were diamondiferous. The main discovery, PK150, is highly diamondiferous, and we think there's real potential for higher grades in those deposits. It's a project that's located close to transportation and power infrastructure in the central part of Saskatchewan, and we continue to look at ways to advance that project and are looking forward to the next drilling program there, because certainly there are more kimberlite discoveries to be made at that project. And lastly, Lux, which is a project which actually we don't talk about a whole lot, and we haven't in the last while. It essentially is a drill-ready target. There's really 2 targets that we would call sort of highest priority near Chesterfield Inlet in Nunavut, and essentially we're just waiting for the right opportunity to test those targets. It's fully permitted and ready to go, and we're just waiting for the chance to have a drill nearby that we can tag onto and test those features. We're also constantly looking at grassroots exploration opportunities in the diamond space, and we do have a brownfields gold project right at the north end of the Hope Bay Belt. We have a property that's about 10,000 acres in size and is just immediately along strike, about 3 kilometers along strike from TMAC's Doris gold mine that just went into production last year. But of course, our focus is diamonds. I'm going to take us through the MEL project right now. It was our biggest discovery in 2017, and we're just preparing to start drilling there in July of this coming year. It's located, as I mentioned earlier, on the Melville Peninsula. It's about 140 kilometers south of Hull Beach, and 200 to 210 kilometers northeast of Naujaat, where our Naujaat project is located. It's a little over 55,000 hectares right now, and as I mentioned, we're mobilizing a drill and a camp there presently in advance of drilling in July. Looking at the overall project area at MEL, there's actually two areas of indicator minerals. There's the MEL North area, where there's a very well-defined indicator mineral train that we've really been working on over a number of years, and that led to the discovery of the ML8 kimberlite last year. We'll talk more to that, but also just wanted to highlight the fact that there is another group of indicator minerals in the MEL South area where we're getting high indicator mineral counts, and we'll also be taking another look at that area now this coming summer. And then also importantly is the area between MEL North and MEL South, where you can see on this map there hasn't been a whole lot of till sampling. It's a little bit of a different drainage pattern, and we're doing some work on the quaternary geology in that area that'll help inform how we best evaluate that intervening area. But just in terms of proximity between the two indicator mineral clusters, we think that intervening area is highly prospective for further discoveries as well. But the focus certainly with respect to drilling and discovery at MEL is at MEL North. This slide shows the indicator train up a bit closer. Now those pies are multicolored just to show the different indicator mineral types that we've been identifying in the till sample, so finding pyrope and eclogitic garnet as well as ilmenite in particular. This is a really well-defined train. The ice direction is to the northeast. Through incremental till sampling programs over the years, we were able to work our way to the southwest and going up ice and getting higher and higher indicator counts into the hundreds, and in one case into the thousands of grains in a till sample, and then a lot of samples that have no grains, and that tells us that there should be a bedrock source. And we felt last summer that we could have a success by making a discovery by prospecting, and that's exactly what happened. We found kimberlite at the two locations where you can see the green triangles here, with the more important discovery being at ML8, which was actual locality of kimberlite subcrop in a number of pieces over about 100 meter area. The kimberlite itself looks really coarse grained, sort of fine to very coarse grained. You can see here on some polished slabs, there's olivines that are up to 2 centimeters in size, garnets with nice caliphytic rims, and in one case on this slide, we've used it a lot, but I like it a lot. It shows a pyrope garnet within an olivine. So these are basically chunks of the Earth's mantle that the kimberlite magma brought up to the surface, and it's important from an exploration perspective to see large mantle-derived grains in the kimberlite, because if those grains and chunks of the mantle were able to be brought up by the kimberlite magma to the surface, then if diamonds were present, the diamonds should be brought up as well. And our sampling showed that that was the case. We collected 62 kilos of the kimberlite from ML8 and submitted it for microdiamond testing, and recovered from that sample 23 diamonds. And what's really important about this result is it's a good number of diamonds for the sample size, but also the fact that we're seeing diamonds in a number of size classes ranging from 0.1 millimeters all the way up to the 0.85 millimeter screen. We can plot these results up. On the y-axis, it's a logarithmic scale, which is important to remember, but on the y-axis you're essentially looking at numbers of diamonds, and on the x-axis the size of the diamonds, and you want to see a relatively flat curve, and that certainly is what we're seeing with this initial result. We're comparing it here to the red line, which is from the A28 phase of the Q1 to 4 kimberlite at Naujaat, and we'll be talking about that kimberlite a little later on. But it's the main takeaway from that small sample is that this is a really good result, and clearly we need to go collect some more sample from ML8 and properly define it with drilling, and ideally make some additional discoveries. And certainly there is room for more discovery at MEL. This is another slide. Again, we've just gone back to the indicator mineral train, and we can see where the ML8 discovery was made, and there's other high count indicator mineral samples in the area that there should be a bedrock source for that's different than ML8, and this overlaying geophysics, in this case it's a magnetic map, it's a vertical gradient. There's a number of magnetic features that are drill targets, and importantly, just where ML8 is there's a nice little discrete mag high that coincided with where that kimberlite was discovered, and there's a number of similar targets that we'll be drill testing right at the head of the indicator train. And then there's also a couple of other larger features, more classic pipe-like targets, that if we take the magnetic susceptibility that we see from the ML8 kimberlite discovery and we use that number and kind of model what we're seeing in the geophysics over these two targets, targets 6 and 7, they model very well as nice pipe-like features, and they'll be a part of our drill program as well. So as we mentioned, this last slide at MEL, we're just showing an aerial shot of where ML8 was discovered, where a few of these other targets are located in nice permissive areas. We can see the ocean in the background. It's very important to be close to the ocean when we're exploring in the Arctic, we think. And presently, it's just the middle of May right now, but we're working to mobilize a drill and a camp to site, and that's all in advance of a drilling program that'll start in July and August. So really looking forward to that drill program. It'll be the very first drilling program on the project, but I think by having made the prospecting discovery last fall, we've actually reduced some of the risk from that drill program. We now know for sure that there's kimberlite there, and we know for sure that there's diamonds in that kimberlite, and it's just a matter of drill testing them. In terms of discovery elsewhere, I mentioned earlier Lac de Gras. We have two projects there that I just want to touch on really quickly, Loki and our LDG joint venture with Dominion Diamond. This map shows the red claims, which would be our Loki project. We completed a drill program there in March, made a brand new kimberlite discovery, the first discovery at Lac de Gras since 2012. And then also there's been ongoing drilling at our joint venture project with Dominion, the big yellow area here just south of Divik. $2.8 million exploration program is underway that's including exploration and discovery type drilling throughout the project, and that program is expected to sort of bridge over into the summer. So the overall goal is new kimberlite discovery heading into this program, and we've already started off on the right foot with the discovery of the 465 kimberlite at Loki. And on this map you can see where it is located right in the central part of the map. Also further to the northeast is the EG05 kimberlite, which we drilled. So there's sample from both EG05 and 465 in the lab right now for microdiamond results, so that's news that's pending. But there's also some other targets that we want to make sure we can test on the project, and they're shown by the stars on this slide, but most importantly is this target 853. It's very well situated with respect to an indicator train in the southern part of this map, in the southwestern part of this map. When we look at the geophysical target, we like it because of its location with respect to the indicator minerals, and then also the fact that this feature is clearly disruptive to the magnetic trend of the underlying geology in this area. In general, the magnetic trend of the Yellowknife supergroup sediments is north-northwest trending, and this feature trends more northeast. It's strike limited, but it is real, and we'll be looking to get this target as well as some others tested this summer in July or August, ideally tying on to some other drilling that might be happening in the area. So those are the projects on the exploration side that we've been busy on and we have plans for coming up this summer. I also want to take you through Naujaat, which is our most advanced project that we've been working on for a number of years now. This slide that sort of shows all these check boxes is one that we've been using for a while, and it's a very good reminder just that this project really does check a lot of the boxes that you'd like to see for an advanced project. It's in a jurisdiction in Nunavut where you can permit a mine. Agnico Eagle has committed $1.2 billion to building 2 gold mines over the next couple of years in the same region of Nunavut that the Naujaat project is located in. The project is on tidewater essentially right at the community of Naujaat. So we figure that freight costs just to get stuff here is about half of what the costs are to get materials to the diamond mines in the Northwest Territories using a winter road. The Q1 to 4 kimberlite, which is the main deposit that we're evaluating, it's large. It's about 48 million tons down to 200 meters below surface, which really helps when playing around with what potential strip ratios might look like, again in comparison to some of the Lac de Gras deposits where the tonnage is being cobbled together from a number of different kimberlites. In this case, all of the tonnage is in one body. It is a significant inventory of diamonds, and there's 15 other bodies in this area that need to be evaluated. Q1 to 4 just happens to be the kimberlite that's closest to the community. We're only about 8 kilometers from the community, and we can actually work from town. We don't need an exploration camp. It allows our local employees to sleep at home in their own beds at night. Some real tremendous advantages for it, and one of the things that we're looking to take advantage of, and being so close to town, is the idea of building a road out to the site, which will reduce our costs when it comes to collecting a larger bulk sample. And the reason to get a bulk sample will be to help us get a better handle on the potential value upside that we see in what's really a unique population of orangey yellow diamonds in the deposit. So when evaluating a diamond deposit, or any deposit really, you end up wanting to look at a lot of the line items that we saw in that previous slide in terms of jurisdiction and size of deposit and location with respect to infrastructure and so on. With any deposit as well, you want to figure out how valuable the mineralized rock would be, which is really a function of the grade of the rock and the value. So in the case of a diamond deposit, it's the number of carats of diamonds per ton, and then combining that with the average value per carat of those diamonds. But when looking at what the average value per carat of those diamonds will be, it is a bit different than a metals deposit, because that is also a function then of the quality of the diamonds as well as their size distribution in terms of how many larger diamonds might you expect once you get into a mining scenario, and that has a real impact on overall diamond valuation as well. And in 2017 we had a program of drilling and bulk sampling, and both of those programs helped move this project forward, both in terms of confirming the overall size of this, large size of the Q1-4 kimberlite, and also underscoring the potential diamond value upside. And I'll just try and quickly take you through that. In terms of the size and tonnage, just a couple of slides to show at surface how large Q1-4 is. This is a really nice photo that shows the bulk sample pit from a sample that we collected in 2014 from the A28 phase of the kimberlite. We can just sort of dash on the projection of the surface area of the kimberlite. The width of the kimberlite in this part of the pipe is about 200 meters across, and the distance from the foreground, the immediate foreground in this photo, all the way to the upper left corner of the photo where the kimberlite kind of bends around in a corner, it's almost 500 meters. That's quite an extensive area, and that's important because obviously the larger the kimberlite is at surface, then the larger it could be at depth as well. This next slide is a different viewpoint. We can see the sampling location from our 2017 bulk sample from the A88 phase, and then on the left-hand side of the diagram you can also see a drill sitting there. We're talking about the size of this kimberlite at surface, but the next few slides can give you an idea of just how the kimberlite is quite large and is actually growing based on the drilling that we did in 2017 at depth. And so where in that photo we can see the drill, if we look at it in cross-section, in sort of a cartoon cross-section here, we can see that that drill hole actually entered the kimberlite well in advance, about 40 meters earlier than we had anticipated based on the current geological model. And then importantly, that hole actually never left kimberlite. It stayed in kimberlite for over 100 meters beyond the current model, and we ended up calling the drill hole just to move on and get on with some more drilling. The kimberlite at depth in this area on the western side is clearly larger. A hole beside hole 4, hole 3, it was the same thing. We actually called that drill hole in kimberlite because we were well beyond the model. The kimberlite is at present and at depth down to 300 meters plus depth, and so we wanted to move on and test some of these other areas of the pipe. And that included actually the A28 phase, which we see on this next slide. It's the orange unit on the slide. This model that we're looking at, each of these colors just represents a different unique phase or eruptive event in the kimberlite. And so A28, we could see in hole 6, we collared again. In this case, we actually collared in kimberlite over 100 meters earlier than expected, so really expanding the kimberlite out to the east, or the northeast rather. And then hole 7, which was the next one we drilled, we collared it in the kimberlite and drilled in a southerly direction, and that hole stayed in kimberlite over 100 meters further than expected from the model. So overall, Q1-4, it's big as currently modeled, and with some upgrading of that model, I think we're going to show that it is in fact even bigger, which is all very important when we play around, as we touched on earlier, with potential strip ratios and what a potential mining scenario might look like. The other way we look at, and the other important piece of information we're trying to extract from our evaluation of Q1-4 is diamond value, and the way we can do that is through bulk sampling. We've collected 2 bulk samples, one in 2014 and the other was in 2017. This slide just shows some of the photos from the bulk sample that we collected last summer. Just using a little mini excavator, we're able to strip glacial till off of the top of the kimberlite, rip it with a frost pick on the end of the excavator, so no drilling and no blasting. And then with the helicopter, we sling 1-ton mega bags of kimberlite to our laydown just north of town, and then when the annual sea lift came into town, we throw the bags on a barge and then ship it south. So very efficient, actually, a very cost-effective way to collect samples of this size. And in terms of results from both of those samples, the 2017 sample was 210 tons that were processed. And we had a recoverable grade from that sample of just over 30 carats per 100 ton. 64 carats were recovered. In 2014, from the A28 phase, we recovered 384 carats from a 1,350 ton sample. In terms of diamonds of size, the four biggest diamonds that have been recovered were 3.5 carats, 2 diamonds just over 4 carats, and then all 3 of those actually came from the 2014 sample of A28, and then the 2017 sample from A88, we recovered a 5.25 carat diamond from that sample. So some larger diamonds. When looking at the overall population, though, a really key takeaway from those 2 bulk samples is the fact that both of those phases host a significant portion of yellow or orangey yellow diamonds in the neighborhood by stone count of about 10% and by carat weight just over 20%. And those diamonds, we think, are critical to the evaluation of the deposit. And that's for a couple of reasons. Some of the diamonds show really good clarity, and we had a number of those diamonds polished in 2015 and 2016. We were able to then have those diamonds certified at the GIA in New York and at Canadian Gem Labs in Vancouver as fancy vivid yellow and fancy vivid orangey yellow diamonds. And these diamonds would be desirable for use in the gem and the jewelry trade. They are worth a premium price to top white diamonds of the same size, cut, and clarity. And that's important. Some of these diamonds are worth more money. Equally as important is we've been able to do work that has clearly shown that this population of colored stones is different than the non-colored or the white diamonds in Q1 to 4. There's actually probably about a 1 billion year time gap in the age of these 2 diamonds populations, which is important because when we look at the colored diamond population empirically, and when we start plotting it up, it has a coarser distribution than the non-colored diamonds. And because we can show the 2 populations are truly distinct temporally, so in terms of their age, then it's appropriate for us to model the distributions differently. And when we do that leads to one of the avenues that we have to showing a path to potential diamond value upside in Q1 to 4. And looking at that coarser size frequency distribution for the colored stones just means that there will be more coarse diamonds than we previously anticipated, which in itself leads to a higher overall valuation of the diamonds. And then the second way that we can see potential diamond value upside is just through the fact that we've been able to polish some of these diamonds, show that they're desirable in the gem and the jewelry trade, and the fact that they're actually worth more money. So those 2 totally independent ways, in fact, that we can show that there's this value upside. But of course, to confirm that, we need to get a bigger sample, and that does take some time. On the slide that we showed earlier, where we showed the location of Q1 to 4 with respect to the community of Naujaat, we're working on ways to permit the construction of a road. If we have a road out to site, it would probably end up being about 10.5 or 11 kilometers long, but that would greatly reduce the cost of a bulk sample that would probably need to be in the neighborhood of 5,000 to 10,000 tons. And with a sample like that, and a sample of that size, we should be able to get in the neighborhood of 2,000 to 3,000 carats of diamonds, which would really help answer the question and confirm the size frequency distribution of the colored and the non-colored diamonds, and get a parcel of diamonds of sufficient size to come up with a proper model valuation. Of course, that does, as I mentioned earlier, it does take time. As we work through those things, we also have other news coming from Naujaat in terms of some microdiamond results from the 2017 drilling. But we also have the other work we're doing on our discovery projects, and it's a key part of why we've constructed and we've sort of built North Arrow the way we have, and having a portfolio approach, having a number of projects, so that there is continual news flow as we move through our evaluation of all of these projects. So in the nearer term, I took you through MEL and touched on quickly the discovery of kimberlite there last year. So the very first drill program on this project is going to happen in July and August of this year. We'll be testing in that neighborhood of 6 to 8 targets over, say, a 30-day period. This will be discovery type drilling, delineation of the ML8 discovery as well, and then there'll be diamond results to come from that. And the nice thing is, going into this, is we know from ML8 that there are diamonds in these rocks. So it really becomes then a matter of how many diamonds and what does the population look like versus whether the diamonds are there at all. At Loki, we have diamond results coming from the newly discovered 465 kimberlite, as well as at EGO5, and we're also looking to be drilling some priority targets, especially including the 853 target in July or August of the summer, and the ongoing drilling that Dominion Diamonds is doing, our joint venture partner on the LDG joint venture project, which is just south of Diavik. $2.8 million being spent on exploration and discovery type drilling there. So a lot of news to come still from North Arrow in the remainder of 2018, and it's really just building on the success that we've had over the last 5 years. We have been the most active diamond exploration junior company. We've had success in the discoveries of brand new kimberlite fields at MEL and at Piku. Finding a kimberlite at Lac de Gras is one of the most prolific diamond mining regions in the world, and this discovery is the first kimberlite discovered there in over 5 years, and North Arrow made that discovery. We have a large inventory of diamonds in the Q1 to 4 kimberlite at Naujaat, plus a whole lot more to evaluate there, and then we're permitted and in a position to continue to evaluate these projects with equipment in place, and then also with permits in place to carry on with drilling, certainly at MEL, Loki, and at LDG in the remainder of this year. And really look forward to keeping you informed on our progress on all these projects over the remainder of the year. Thanks once again for listening.